Okay, welcome back. So first thing I'm going to tell you is below the video, I'm going to put the entire assignment on www.yourfingerspeak.com. So all the stuff that's scrawled up here on the board, because it's in my horrible handwriting, I'm going to retype tonight, so it'll be under there. So when you look at it in the computer lab tomorrow, you'll have all the language there, okay? First thing we did is we looked at the death of the toad, and we looked at the major themes, which we decided were death.
Death.
Oh, let's do it louder. Ready? Death.
Death.
Beauty.
Beauty.
Man versus nature.
Man versus nature.
With machine.
With machine.
Accidental slaughter.
Accidental slaughter.
And aesthetically pleasing.
Aesthetically pleasing.
Because of the prompt said you have to comment on diction, we looked at specific word choice. And you guys, this is student generated. You guys pulled out the language. So the one I'm gonna focus on right now is castrate. Everyone say castrate.
Castrate.
The thing that's interesting about castrate is it means removing sexual organs. But he uses it in context with nature. So if he castrates nature, then he removes its ability to reproduce and thus ends its life. So when you're writing, if you're writing about diction, you only really have to use a couple examples. You should be queuing in on key words. Castrate would be one word you could use as your evidence. It's one word evidence. Very much easy. Suggested fragments that you're going to be able to use in this. Ready? Lines undulating purposely.
Lines undulating purposely.
Symbolically places.
Symbolically places.
Shared experience deepens the audience's understanding.
Shared experience deepens the audience's understanding.
Encourages readers.
Encourages readers.
Chunks his verse into emotive fragments.
Chunks his verse into emotive fragments.
Syntactically symbolize.
Syntactically symbolize.
Ephemeral struggle.
Ephemeral struggle.
Ephemeral meaning short-lived, like street art. Arrangements of euphonic upglides and downglides.
Arrangements of euphonic upglides and downglides.
And then the use of such poignant descriptions.
The use of such poignant descriptions.
Okay, we're moving this way. Now, this is the difference between what you've been doing with writing and where you're going to go with writing. You usually create a thesis that's specific, that says, I'm going to write about diction, syntax, tone, and mood. And then we take one paragraph and we work on syntax. One paragraph we work on mood. One paragraph we work on tone. We're no longer going to do that. We're going to jump to the next level. And the way you jump to the next level is your thesis becomes a guiding force, or it becomes broader. I'm going to give you my example, a model for the essay this time. And then you're going to have a major point 1 and a major point 2. Because most of the prompts that you encounter, doesn't matter what test you're taking, are usually two-part prompts. If they're two-part prompts, then if we have a major point 1 and a major point 2, we're addressing the two parts of that, and that way we're not leaving anything out. Because really it's not about writing a 5, 6, 7, 8 paragraph essay. It's about addressing all parts of the prompt in as efficient time as possible. And we don't want to do more work than we have to. We just want to make sure that we hit everything, okay? So I'm going to give you an example of a thesis for this poem, as well as a major point 1 and then a major point 2. You are allowed to use the thesis, the major point 1 and major point 2 on this essay only. No points will be taken off. If you want to create your own thesis, major point 1 and major point 2, you're more than welcome. The next essay we do on a different poem, you will have to do this pretty much by yourself. I'm going to model it this time for you so you understand the jump you're making in language, or the jump you're making in structure. Now, the great thing about the structure is structure's not really going to change next year. So if you learn it this year, and we got all next semester to work on it, by the time you go to 12th grade, your teacher's going to say, I want you to do this, 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 and you're going to go, okay, no problem, I'm bored, because you've already done it this year. Okay, so I'm going to make my thesis broader. First of all, turn that page over. What does our prompt say? Who can read me the prompt? Angela, can you read me the prompt? Very first thing on the, right there, prompt.
Read the following poem carefully, then write a well-organized essay in which you explain how formal elements such as structure, syntax, diction, and imagery relate to the speaker's response to a definite topic.
Okay, So the first thing we have to address is structure, syntax, diction, and imagery. The second thing we have to address is the speaker's response, okay? What is all of it surrounding? What is the main thing you have to comment on? No, the poem theme is that, but like, what's this stuff right here? Words, which we can also refer to as L word. It's what? We're learning what? Close. Language. We're commenting on language. So if you, in your thesis, say something about language, then you're making it broad. How the author uses language in some way. Here's my example of a thesis, okay? Richard Wilbur, in The Death of a Toad, utilizes. Now, we all know that, right? Because we've done author, title, and then we have a power verb. No problems, right? Okay. Richard Wilbur, in The Death of a Toad, utilizes language by stacking concrete images to deepen his audience's understanding. Now look, deepen his audience's understanding, I took from over there this morning, because I was like, oh, that would be easy, rolled it in there. You can use any of the language that we went over, and you can put it right in your essay. I'm giving you fragments to use, so that it helps you. There is your thesis right there. Now it leaves it open for you to write about any of the ways he's using language. Major point 1. Wilbur employs formal elements. See, I took part of the prompt and I put it right back in there. That's not copying. That's making sure that you're using that part, or you're addressing that part of the prompt. Formal elements such as structure, syntax, diction, and imagery to fully express himself to his readers. No problem. Now, we want to dress that up because we're leaving all of those nouns naked. We could use structure, cutting syntax because he used it a lot of commas. And in the poem, he's got the mower, which is cutting the grass, so that reinforces cutting. Dramatic diction, because we talked about how he used castrate. Castrate's a pretty dramatic word to use with nature. And concrete imagery, because he's using specific images. The death of a toad, the toad's leg being cut off, all these different things, to fully express himself to his readers. There's major point 1. Major point 2. The author's response to the death of a toad makes him reflect on his own mortality. We talked about how the poem, he kills the frog accidentally, and because he sees the frog die, he thinks about himself and how he eventually one day will die. He's thinking about his mortality. If we address it, or if we structure it like this, you have a thesis, you have a major point 1, and you have a major point 2 that addresses all parts of the prompt. That's all we have to do, is address all parts of the prompt. Now, heaven forbid we deviate from that 5-paragraph structure. No, it can be 5, it can be 4, it can be 6, it can be 8 paragraphs. It just depends on how you structure it. If I was going to structure this essay right here, I would say, we're going to write an intro first. No problem. Just like the Crucible essay, I would use a historical fact. What PowerPoint did we just watch? We just watched a PowerPoint on historical facts of the time period. So find something that's interesting in there. They were talking about art and how art moved away from being real to representing reality and was a little more expressive, a little more fragmented. That might be an interesting historical fact. Then we go to archetypes. Remember, we had the Grim Reaper with the scythe. The scythe cuts just like the lawnmower cuts. It's a pattern. And then we get to our thesis, which is already done for you. Okay, there's your introduction, already done. Now, major point 1. Well, if I was going to do the body, I don't know if I could talk about structure, syntax, diction, and imagery all in the same paragraph. But I think I could talk about structure and syntax in the first paragraph. And then I think I could talk about diction and imagery in another paragraph. And then I think I could talk about the author's response and his reflection on mortality in another paragraph, and then a conclusion. So if I had an intro, a major point 1 that addressed structure and syntax, an additional paragraph on that addressed diction and imagery, and then an additional paragraph on that, which would be my major point 2, response about mortality, and a conclusion, I have a 5-paragraph essay. Do I have to do it that way? Do I have to do it that way? No. You do all structure, syntax, diction, and imagery in one paragraph, but it's going to be a really long paragraph. Might be easier for your readers if you section it out. You do not have to do a paragraph on diction, a paragraph on imagery, a paragraph on structure, a paragraph on syntax. Then you're writing a huge essay. It's not about addressing it paragraph after paragraph after paragraph. It's about, did you address this and did you address that? Address it might be a couple of sentences. If you're using words for your quotes or for your evidence, you can splice that in. You can have little pieces of evidence. You could have 2 or 3 pieces of evidence in 2 sentences. It's doing less. It's just being more efficient and thinking about it in the correct way. Now, look, I know that this is a big step for you, and I know it's 6 periods, so you're already in over this. We're going to work on it Friday and Monday in the computer lab. By Monday, at the end of the class, we'll look at it and we'll revisit it and we'll see where we are. If we still need more time, we'll try to work out more time. This is our first stab at doing this new structure. By the end of this next semester, you'll feel comfortable with it, and then you'll roll through with it. What we needed to concentrate on is making a thesis that's broader conceptually, and then establishing a major point 1 and a major point 2 from the prompt. You do that, it makes your job a lot easier. So when you get to those big state tests, you're actually just doing some pre-writing, and then you're filling in the blanks with it. And then you're doing 12th grade writing, and you're ready for college. So today, for the rest of the period, I'm going to let you copy whatever you need to copy on the board. I'll give you 2 minutes. You want to take pictures of it with your phone, you want to record with your phone, doesn't matter. I'll post this video tomorrow to Fingerspeak with everything written, so you have all the language there, and then we go to work on it. If you're wondering where do I start with your intro. Figure out what historical facts you want to use, then talk about archetypal stuff, then write your thesis in there, either use my stock thesis or come up with something else, and continue from there. I will go computer to computer to computer tomorrow in the computer lab and make sure we're doing all right. My goal with this is not to make it hard for you. It's for us to complete this one and then do another one with less help from me, and eventually probably in the 3rd one, I can give you a poem and let you do it all by yourself, but that's going to take a little while, I understand that. Any questions?